When Ethan Cross told her, "I never wanted a family," he thought he was saving himself from chaos. Feelings didn't fit in his schedule, and love wasn't on his list of investments. But 5 years later, standing in a quiet park, he froze, watching a little boy with his sane gray eyes laugh in another man's arms. That laughter sliced through the walls he'd built. The woman he let go was smiling too, her hand resting gently on the stranger's shoulder. In that moment, Ethan realized something money could never buy back: time and the family he'd thrown away. Ethan Cross built his life like a fortress: steel, glass, and rules. He was the billionaire everyone envied and feared. His empire stretched across continents. His name made headlines, and his signature decided the fate of millions. But behind all that power was a man terrified of losing control: Ava. Bennett was the only person who ever saw through that armor. She was a marketing consultant hired for a short-term project at his company, bright, intuitive, warm. She spoke to him like he was human, not a headline. Her laughter filled the sterile boardrooms with something dangerous life. He tried to keep her at a distance. But late-night strategy meetings turned into shared dinners, and shared dinners turned into something deeper. Ethan wasn't used to needing anyone, but with Ava, he found a strange peace, the kind that scared him. One night, as they watched the city from his penthouse, she whispered, "You hide behind logic because you're afraid to feel." He almost laughed, but he didn't, because she was right. Months later, when Ava told him she was pregnant, the fortress cracked. He stood silent, jaw tight, staring at the woman who believed in him more than he believed in himself. "Ethan," she said softly, "I know you didn't plan this." "Neither did I, but maybe," he cut her off. "No," his voice was cold, final. "I never wanted a family, Ava." The words hit her like a slap. Her eyes filled with disbelief, then pain. "You don't mean that?" But he did, or thought he did. "I've built my life for one purpose. I can't let emotions destroy it." Ava took a step back, tears threatening. "You think love is destruction?" He didn't answer. He couldn't. That night, she left. No arguments, no ultimatums. Just silence. Ethan watched her go and told himself it was for the best. But as weeks turned into months, the silence in his penthouse grew louder. He threw himself into work, closing deal after deal, but every achievement felt hollow. His assistants said he'd never been sharper. Investors called him brilliant. Yet he couldn't sleep at night. He would catch himself staring at the door, half expecting her to walk back in. But she never did. Years passed. Ethan's company reached record-breaking heights. He bought islands, properties, and even a private art museum. But none of it filled the quiet. Sometimes he'd see a family on the street, a father lifting his laughing child, and something inside him would twist. He told himself it was nothing. But he knew the truth. He had traded warmth for power. And now all he had was cold success. Then, one afternoon, fate decided to remind him of everything he'd lost. It was a Saturday. Ethan was meeting a business partner in a suburban park, an unusual place for him, but the man insisted. He arrived early, wearing his tailored suit that didn't belong in the sunlight. And that's when he saw them. A small boy, maybe 4, maybe 5, running across the grass, his laughter echoing through the air. Something about that sound made Ethan look closer. The child's hair was dark, his eyes gray, the same rare shade Ethan saw in the mirror every morning. He froze. Then he saw her, Ava. She looked different, softer, freer. Her hair was tied loosely, her clothes casual. She was kneeling beside the boy, helping him fix his toy car. Ethan couldn't breathe. His chest tightened as realization hit him. That boy couldn't be, but he was. Before he could move, another man walked over, tall, calm, smiling. He kissed Ava's forehead and lifted the boy into his arms. Ethan's world tilted. The child wrapped his arms around the man's neck and said, "Dad, look." Dad, that one word tore through him. Ethan took a step forward, then stopped. He had no right. He was a stranger now. Ava noticed him then. Their eyes met and time stopped. Her face went pale, but she didn't move. For a long, unbearable moment, they just stared to people bound by the past, separated by choices. When her companion turned to greet him, Ava quickly looked away. "Ethan," she said quietly, composed but trembling. "It's been a while. It's 5 years," he managed, his voice rough. She nodded, her eyes guarded. "This is Liam," she said, introducing the man beside her. "And this is Noah." Ethan looked at the boy again, his son. Noah smiled shyly, holding his toy. "Hi." Ethan tried to speak, but no sound came. Liam extended a polite hand. "Nice to meet you. Ava told me a lot about her old job." "Old job, not old life." Ethan shook his hand mechanically. "Likewise." The rest of the meeting was a blur. He barely remembered what was said. His mind was elsewhere, trapped between guilt and disbelief. That night, he sat alone in his penthouse, surrounded by silence that felt heavier than ever. He looked out at the city he owned and realized it meant nothing. He'd built an empire to avoid feeling powerless, but here he was, powerless before a little boy's laughter. Days passed. He couldn't focus. Every file, every deal, every conversation, her face haunted him. The boy's eyes followed him in every reflection. Finally, he couldn't take it anymore. He drove back to that same park, hoping or maybe punishing himself to see them again. He did. Ava was sitting alone on a bench while Liam and Noah fed ducks nearby. He approached quietly. "Ava," she turned, surprised but not angry. "Ethan, I just wanted to see you," he said. "And him." She sighed. "Why now?" He hesitated. "Because I saw what I threw away." Her eyes softened for a moment, then hardened again. "You made your choice, Ethan." "No, and I've regretted it every day since." Tears threatened, but she blinked them away. "Regret doesn't raise a child." He nodded. "No, but maybe I could try to know him. Not as a father, just as someone who cares." She studied him for a long moment. Then, slowly, she said, "We'll see." It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something as Ethan left. Noah waved at him, small, innocent, unaware of the storm inside him. And for the first time in years, Ethan smiled. A small, broken, but real smile. Because maybe redemption doesn't always come in grand gestures. Sometimes it starts with a wave from a child you once called not mine. Ethan Cross had conquered the world but lost his heart along the way. Now, he's learning that true wealth isn't measured in stocks or skyscrapers. It's found in the laughter of a child who doesn't even know your name. Will Ava ever forgive him? Will Noah ever know the truth? Or will Ethan remain a ghost in the life that could have been his? Would you forgive a man who walked away if he finally came back too late?